Ok, merci d'être de retour dans la salle et je sais à combien c'est difficile de vous arracher au networking, aux retrouvailles, se retrouver dans une conférence en personne comme ça. Après ce que nous avons tous vécu, c'est un moment de plaisir et d'échange et je sais aussi que vous avez beaucoup de sujets à évoquer. Mais nous avons un programme pour le rendez-vous de Casablanca et donc nous allons tout faire pour nous y tenir. Je voudrais vous proposer d'accueillir notre premier keynote speaker. Il s'agit de la présidente de la Global Federation of Insurance Associations et qui est aussi présidente et CEO de l'American Council of Life Insurers. Mesdames et messieurs, je vous prie d'accueillir comme il se doit Suzanne Neely. Thank you very much for being here. We're going to listen to you and maybe some words with your French that we can see that you also master French language. The mic is yours.
Merci beaucoup et bonjour. Après avoir travaillé ensemble à distance pendant 2 ans, c'est un grand plaisir d'être tous ensemble au rendez-vous de Casablanca de l'assurance. C'est ma première visite ici. Je peux maintenant confirmer que tous les outils de marketing sont opérationnels. Le Maroc est en effet un pont commercial et un leader en Afrique du Nord. Je voudrais remercier mon collègue Bachir Badou. J'ai fait sa connaissance pendant que nous étions en train de travailler à la Fédération globale des associations d'assurance, ou GFIA. C'est un excellent représentant du Maroc et de la zone d'Afrique. Bachir m'a poussé à essayer de lire quelques mots avec mon vocabulaire appris au collège. C'est un bon défi parce que le français est une très belle langue et je voudrais montrer du respect à mes hôtes. Ainsi, j'essaie de pratiquer la langue. Malheureusement, je ne parle pas aussi bien le français que Bachir parle l'anglais. Et je continue dans ma propre langue. Peut-être qu'à la prochaine visite, si je pratique beaucoup, je pourrai continuer mon discours en français, mais maintenant en anglais. I want to thank the Moroccan Federation of Insurance and Reinsurance Companies for holding this conference and welcoming all of us for these important dialogues. The U.S. is grateful for its friendship with Morocco, which dates back hundreds of years, to the signing of our first friendship treaty when the United States was just budding as a nation. I also want to thank Mohammed Hassan bin Salah for his leadership in organizing this gathering of nations to share ideas on how we can help all our citizens live safe and secure lives. I had the pleasure of meeting with Mr. Ben Salah and Hicham Belra in the United States in January as Morocco is becoming a preeminent participant in global forums, including in the US. There are a few people I want to thank very briefly. I'd like to compliment the Moroccan government and the Minister of Economy and Finance, Nadia Fetta, for her leadership on financial inclusion. I look forward to seeing Athman Khalil Alami again in Rabat tomorrow for conversations on regulatory leadership in growing and developing markets in addition to just supervising them. I believe continued dialogue between nations is essential as we work together to close risk protection coverage gaps and make sure all our families and communities have the protection they need. 3 years ago, our world became interconnected in a way we did not expect. Our global fight against COVID-19 reminded us that all nations and people have a shared interest in creating certainty for the future. We were united in our common determination to stop COVID-19, and in each other's challenges and triumphs, we saw reflections of our own challenges and triumphs. Financial risk protection gaps are stark, climate risk is real, and cyber risk has increased. I would offer to each of us today that our charge as leaders is to acknowledge and address these challenges with as much fervor, determination, and collaboration as we did the global pandemic. We're gathered here to talk about mobility, technology, progress, and change. In addition to having the honor of currently serving as JIFIA president, which together represents 67 countries, my day job is to represent the American Council of Life Insurers. And while we don't represent auto insurance, I'm glad to be followed by my colleagues, Florence Lusmont and Pilar Gonzalez, who will speak about auto in detail and far more knowledgeably than I can. However, I believe mobility is not just about how we get from point A to point B, but whether people have access to the financial tools and information they need to achieve social mobility. I cannot think of a better place to talk about how financial inclusion and global financial protection contribute to upward mobility and a strong middle class. No better place than here in Morocco. Within my first weeks of taking the office as president of JIFIA, we met with global regulator leaders who are the officers of the International Association of Insurance Supervisors. Our purpose was to advance our industry perspective on issues of global concern. We showcased industry leadership on increasing financial inclusion and closing protection gaps. I want to focus on that topic here today, and specifically on 3 areas where we can lead as an industry, a global industry, to tackle any number of issues, whether it's technological progress, the evolution of mobility, or financial inclusion. First, our responsibility as global leaders to bring awareness to these issues. Second is using our collective industry advocacy to be a force multiplier as we educate about the importance of insurance to policymakers and regulators. And finally, how we seek common purpose to solve current and emerging risks around the globe. First, we have a responsibility as an industry to understand and communicate the risks that will have the most impact on real people's lives. In times of uncertainty, people and institutions are facing increasing risks to their health, wealth, and income, risks that are not adequately protected. This work is more relevant than ever. In the 21st century, the role of corporations is changing. For insurers, paying claims is not enough. Now corporations and business sectors are expected to demonstrate how they are helping to solve societal challenges. Today, consumer trust is built around this commitment and engagement. Luckily for the insurance industry, we are problem solvers and we hold solutions to some of the big challenges facing countries around the globe, like closing the $1 trillion protection gap. The issue of protection gaps has the ear of the B20, G20, and the IAIS. The leadership opportunity for businesses is to advance solutions at a time when needs are most acute. We're right there in the action, providing our leadership on financial inclusion policy. Today, I'm very pleased to announce that next week, JIFIA will release the first ever global risk protection gap study. We commissioned this study to better understand the gaps in financial protection and how policymakers and insurers can work together to fill them. The Global Risk Protection Study has identified 4 areas of protection that have the most impact on people's lives: natural catastrophes, cyber, pensions, health. The study goes into detail in each of these areas. It highlights the factors contributing to the gaps. It identifies potential levers for reducing these risks. It provides case studies to facilitate discussions among stakeholders, and it makes policy recommendations by experts from among our JIFIA membership. So I will give you a sneak preview without stepping on the details of next week's announcement. For instance, the report will show that aging societies are putting unprecedented pressure on global pension systems. There is an estimated protection gap of $1 trillion a year. That is a big problem. And we need to be the advocacy groups making sure that this is front of mind for regulators and policymakers. But JIFIA didn't stop there at simply identifying the problem. We wanted to dive deeper to offer potential policy levers that private and public sectors can use. For pension protection and retirement, it can be offering innovative and flexible products to meet consumers' needs, or implementing automatic enrollment in retirement savings as a government policy. Another topic we look at in the study is natural catastrophes. There have been many tragic disasters in just the past few months. New Zealand had an earthquake and hurricane, and of course we saw the devastating loss in Turkey and Syria. Because of climate change and global development, natural catastrophe events and related losses will only increase, significantly affecting the health and financial viability of individuals and organizations. Individuals and organizations often struggle to get adequate natural catastrophe protection because of challenges related to affordability, availability, or ability to recognize the risk. These factors, plus insufficient levels of awareness and engagement in prevention members, contribute to an annual protection gap of $135 billion per year. Again, that's a global gap. We didn't want to stop there at just identifying the problem. We sought to demonstrate steps that private and public stakeholders can take. These steps could include new distribution models for natural catastrophe insurance coverage that increase the accessibility of coverage, or facilitating access to global reinsurance markets to reduce the geographic concentration of risks. These guidelines offer a roadmap that at the very least provides a starting point for meaningful dialogue and ultimately, we hope will serve to advance real policy solutions that increase access to insurance products and services. We hope that the study will help inform G20 leaders about how to fill those protection gaps. The Global Protection Gap Study is an excellent body of work, and we are very happy for you to see it when it is released. Each of us in this room will be able to use the findings, and we'll also be able to share them with global regulators. Our French and Spanish colleagues have been especially involved in leading this work along with your own federation here in Morocco. What the Global Risk Protection Gap Study also demonstrates is that insurance associations can be force multipliers in addressing global challenges. We have solutions to propose. And this brings me to my next focus, and that is being effective advocates for regulation and policies that expand access. Over the past couple of years, JIFIA has set out to be known more for what we are for than what we are against. That means being for solutions. And that means telling the story of the work that this industry does every day in the global financial ecosystem and demonstrating the good work we do in closing critical gaps. We have a powerful story to tell. Let me give you an example. Today, as it's been commented, all around the world, countries are recognizing International Women's Day. That significance is not lost on me as I have the pleasure and privilege of providing these remarks to you. Here's why. Financial inclusion, as every speaker this morning has addressed, is an issue that impacts women in unique ways. The United Nations has warned of losing a generation or more of gains in gender equality and women's rights due to socioeconomic impact of the pandemic. In my country, during the pandemic alone, 3 out of 4 women said the crisis had a negative impact on how long they could live off their retirement savings. This is on top of many other challenges women face when it comes to financial protection. The question before us is, how do we, as a collective business community, come together to advocate for policies that will have a particular impact on this community of women? We can prioritize policies that encourage greater access to financial protection products that help women, and that's something you all do very well in Africa. I'm certainly in Morocco, not just to be a tourist and to enjoy this conference, but also to learn about your progressive leadership across Africa. I was excited to hear that you also hosted a joint event yesterday with the General Arab Insurance Federation and a colleague from Egypt. Ala El Zoerti, president of the Egyptian Federation. We were just together last June in Prague at a JIFIA event. I also have the pleasure of being a member of the Microinsurance Network and have enjoyed speaking with Stephanie Sowejadi, who is the Africa Regional Manager for MIN, which is establishing a partnership with JIFIA this June. FEMSAR is a regional leader in long-term planning and implementation of financial inclusion, and they serve as a model in the African region. What I am already learning from my meetings with your government is an appreciation for Morocco globally as we speak with G20 and IAIS. His Majesty King Mohammed VI is a leading advocate for financial inclusion. This makes a difference. The Ministry of the Economy, Finance, Administration Reform and Bank Al-Maghrib led development of the National Financial Inclusion Strategy to coordinate the efforts of all stakeholders in the financial ecosystem. A roadmap for inclusive insurance is now being rolled out under the NFIS and will include an insurance barometer, which is very innovative, that will measure insurance penetration across the country and across different products. The International Association of Insurance Supervisors prioritized financial inclusion of women and minorities in their strategic plan. The IAIS issued a statement formally recognizing the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion considerations in insurance supervision and has set 2024 as their target to develop regulatory guidance. In 2021, for the first time, the B20, under the Italian leadership, added the concept of uninsured along with unbanked to its policy recommendations. The B20 has created special initiatives on ESG, women and financial inclusion, where one of the main objectives is to foster gender equality in the workplace and in society. Certainly, my colleague who you will hear from next, Florence Lustman, has been one of the leaders of this work. In the United States, our executive branch, including the Departments of Treasury, Commerce, Labor, and State, and the USTR, the U.S. Trade Representative, has determined that all bilateral and multilateral negotiations will now consider sustainability, labor, and equality. All of this does not just happen. This is a result of unified efforts to prioritize financial inclusion. Our collective advocacy can be powerful, and it's obviously working. But the other focus that is powerful is our coordination and work to reach comparable outcomes to meet the unique needs of our demographics and stage of development. Each of our countries is facing its own unique set of challenges, and how we address them will be different depending on our unique circumstances. We can come together as a business community to address shared challenges. Our world is becoming more complicated, and we need the collective muscle of the global industry. I will not address global politics, but it is a little discouraging that the G20 finance ministers in their meeting last week could not agree on a joint statement on anything. Yet we all know that risk protection gaps are real, and the only solution is one that involves government and industry working together. JIFIA is a way we determine how to advance together in a way that is meaningful. Our ability to do business has never been more important. Our priority is to make sure the insurance industry can continue to offer the products and services to people who need them most, and making sure we have the regulatory and prudential environment to do so. Financial inclusion is a societal challenge that knows no borders. Together we can go further. That is the power of association. Let me close by saying this. Each of us, from our own vantage points, see the challenges that our countries and our people face. Each of us knows the gaps that the pandemic has exposed. The insurance industry is designed to be there for people when they need it most. We provide access to financial protection, and we can be an important partner to the government sector in solving big challenges. But I am mindful that we as leaders in insurance have an opportunity to be the bridge, to close those gaps, to find innovative solutions, to ensure greater access, to provide certainty in an uncertain world. I commend you for the discussions you are having at this conference, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you, everyone. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, Neely, for this speech and sharing all these thoughts, having a global view on what your industry can also, and I appreciated that, have as a societal impact by including more people, having the right services, the right products to serve people wherever they are, responding their needs. This is really, really, very important. Thank you very much. Maybe one advice, if you work on your French for next time you come here,
Will I get invited again?
you'll be invited again. And if you work on your French language, please do not forget the Arabic one. It will be very useful in Morocco. Shukran, shukran. Thank you very much.